as leaders of China and the United States to ensure that the competition between our countries does not veer into conflict, whether intended or unintended. Just simple, straightforward competition.
China and the United States should respect each other, coexist in peace, and pursue win-win cooperation. I stand ready to work with you, Mr. President, to build consensus, take active steps, and move China-US relations forward in a positive direction.
US President Joe Biden held first bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping since assuming office in January this year. The virtual summit lasted for 3.5 hours on November 16. What were the key accomplishments of the summit, and how is India looking at it?
The relationship between US and China is going through a very difficult phase, and it is deteriorating really fast. And it was an attempt by the two presidents, the American president and the Chinese president, to sort of manage the relationship and not let it spiral downwards. So they had two phone calls before in the last 1 year, but this was the first meeting face to face in terms of, although it was a virtual meeting, but it was a face-to-face meeting. And it essentially comes at a time when US sees China as its biggest geopolitical challenge. The Trump administration put China as its foremost strategic rival, and Biden administration has continued with that particular framing. So in that context, this particular meeting did not come up with a joint statement or anything, but it tried to dial down the rhetoric between the two sides so that there is no sort of tension or military conflict and all of that. And but both sides made it very clear that they were sticking to their own grievances, their own sort of friction points. For example, the Americans president, he raised the issue of human rights, abuse and violations in Xinjiang, Tibet, Hong Kong, and also raised the issue of Taiwan. The Chinese president Xi Jinping, he very clearly talked about that US should not play with fire when it comes to Taiwan. So each had their own sort of concerns, and both were very articulate, very upfront in sort of in articulating their concerns. India has is in a border standoff with China, and it sees US as a key strategic partner. It's part of the Quad grouping, as you know, with US, Australia, and Japan, which is essentially aimed at countering the Chinese challenge in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. So India sees this particular summit or meeting between the American and the Chinese president very closely, because it feels that US is a key strategic partner, and it can lean on the Chinese on so that the Chinese behavior can be shaped or influenced. So it saw that particular meeting with great interest, but really it's US and China, the big countries, the big boys, are talking, and India is one of the has a very strong relationship with US, a strategic relationship with US, and a very strong economic relationship with China, as we know. So it has to sort of balance also and take care of the concerns from both sides. But it clearly feels that it has shared values with and shared interests and shared concerns when it comes to China. With the US, it has much greater shared concerns, shared values, and shared principles vis-a-vis China.